Hey everybody, it's the Nitty Professor. I'm here with Mistletoe along with most every other pet. We don't know who's going to make an appearance when, but we'll see what comes of it. Today I wanted to talk to you about some knitting travels of mine. Last March I was in Trondheim, Norway. Now there was a really important reason for me to go to Trondheim, Norway, and that is because a family in my novel comes from there. So I thought it was really important to do some research and learn more about their origins and educate myself on Scandinavia. That was my first trip to Scandinavia. And another thing I wanted to accomplish was to acquaint myself with the works of Hannah Ryggen, who was originally from Sweden but lived in Norway, and she's probably one of the most important fiber artists of all time. I'd be curious if, those of you who are sort of into the whole fiber arts world, if what you would think of that assessment. Now, I do have a degree in art history, so I have some basis for judgment, but I obviously, I earned it in, let's say, late 70s, early 80s, when obviously traditionally male forms of art, namely painting, sculpture, and architecture, got most of the attention and most of the honors, or they were the most highly regarded forms of art. So that's, very typical. Women were relegated to the sidelines of artistic production. And I was really keen on seeing some of Ryggen's weavings because she was one of the first fiber artists who sort of broke that tradition and that mold. So I'm going to back up here just a little bit, and I have some photos with me that I'll share. Not going to go into a whole lot of detail, but just to give you a taste, Trondheim isn't the first place that people think about going when they go to Norway. And I have not been to Oslo, and I have not been to Bergen. But I would highly, highly recommend Trondheim. I had a fantastic time. So let me see, I want to back up here and find some of the highlights and show you why. Of course, one of the first things I did when I got out of the airport was knit with people on the train. And that was so much fun because their English was really good, and we could communicate with no problem. In fact, here's one of the first photos that I took there. It's close to the cathedral. There's a bit of a glare there, for which I apologize. But took this photo of the cathedral. It's just stunning. This is called Nidaros. Look at this, just incredible. I encourage you to go online and find better photos than what I'm showing you here, but I think you get, kind of a taste. Another thing I was able to do at Nidaros Cathedral was listen to the organ. It was absolutely astonishing. It has, I think, the third largest organ in Europe. I'll show you some pictures of yarn stores along the way too. Here's the Garnhuset. My pronunciation of Norwegian is pitiful, I apologize. Plus, Norway has multiple dialects, and the government actually encourages their speakers to speak whatever dialect they feel comfortable with. They have two sort of major dialects, Bokmål and Nynorsk, and there is like a common spelling. But even when children are in school, if they this is the yarn store, Garnhuset, if they have different accents, they can still read the same materials and that kind of stuff. So it's really interesting. I did learn enough to greet people, to say hi and thanks, and say where I was from and this kind of thing. Isn't that cute? Look at those dolls. I just had a fantastic time there. There were multiple yarn stores. Look at that. Oh, I want to go back. I've been telling myself I really want to go back. I almost want to say this is Husfliden. I'm not positive. So it's been a little while since I was there. 10 months. But yeah, I do believe this is Husfliden. And that store is well known for carrying the trachten, the traditional outfits that Norwegians wear on their national holiday, which I believe is in May. Correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, this is a sweater that I saw. Here's one of the traditional costumes. Hi Paris, you're a very nice cat. And they're also fascinating to see. really interesting stuff. I just love these kinds of traditions. Here's sort of a street scene from Trondheim. It's extremely hilly. There are places, it's along a river. I'd love to tell you which one it is. I'll probably figure it out as soon as I'm done podcasting here. Oh, here is the organ. Isn't that? It's absolutely stunning. And the concert, I went to 2 concerts, one of which had this incredible organ piece, which the pipes are so big that when they play the bass, your entire body vibrates. But then he got off into a tangent where you heard a far off organ that was at the other end of the church. And I was like, what's going on? Are there 2 organs in here? And there were 2 organs in there. So there's a Baroque organ as well. Isn't that stunning? So Nidaros Cathedral, I highly, highly recommend it. I can't say enough about this monument. It's a medieval edifice that was significantly overhauled in recent decades to the tune of millions of dollars, and the citizens are extraordinarily proud of. Look at that facade. It's extraordinary. It's one of those gems that, you wouldn't necessarily think that this sort of modest Norwegian city, here's a mall that is in the center of town, you wouldn't necessarily expect them to have that kind of an edifice. So the food was great. Here's another picture. This is actually during one of the concerts, I think. Just couldn't be beat. I was staying in a hotel, and we had this incredible breakfast buffet. Those of you who've traveled in Scandinavia, you know what I'm talking about. It was just fantastic. Let me see, I have some other pictures. I took the world's longest running trolley line. Went up to this beautiful mountain scene at the top on the edge of town where you can overlook just stunning natural scenery. I was there in March, so it was still late winter, and there was still traces of snow. I didn't have any problems getting around. I almost slipped once, but I managed to, with my Truman boots, I was safe, and I didn't have any unfortunate events occur, but this was the kind of scenery that you could see when you go outside of the city limits. Let's see here. Trying to just sort of, I'm not going to show you everything, but just to give you a taste. This is Munkholmen Island. Let's see if I can get that in there a little bit better. I did not go there. The boat tour was not available in March, but at some point, there's this famous little sort of Chinese style bridge going across the river to the, Trondheim has the largest university in Norway, by the way. And I did see that as well. That's a very typical scene on the fjord, Trondheim fjord. Just a wonderful place. You can hang out and get cappuccino. I got mochas almost every day. They were so good. And I was really intrigued because it was, probably 35 degrees for an average high, cloudy. But all the cafes, they were open for business, and you could sit outside. So they had the seats covered with big, huge lamb's skins, and you just sit on those, and people were knitting outside. This is along the river there that circles through the city. And I got to sit on a park bench knitting and just enjoying. Sunday is like every day, everybody's day off. So everybody was outside. It was probably about 40 degrees. It was a beautiful sunny day. And those of you who know me on Facebook, you'll recognize that picture because right now that is my personal page. That's my photo that I have on there. A friendly American took that of me. She married a Norwegian and has been living there for quite a long time. I went to also a kind of a Skansen type museum, which is like a living history museum. And that was fascinating because I got to see like some old spinning wheels and this kind of thing. Some of the more traditional, the ways that people lived. And I met a fascinating person who was reenacting the role of a school teacher, and she was very well educated and was talking to me about, we were comparing and contrasting the situation of the Native Americans in the United States with the the Sami, I think, people in Norway. So that was really interesting. Now here we're getting to a little bit more, also for my kind of, I'm speaking German here, also. This was the loom that Hannah Ryggen wove on. So it's a traditional tapestry loom. Her husband made it for her. People back then were able to build looms. Actually, it's absolutely extraordinary. This is a sample. So this is her Ethiopia tapestry. So to see some of these, now the main sort of decorative arts museum in Trondheim was closed. They're renovating. In fact, when I was at the art museum, I talked to the person behind the desk. We were comparing notes because she has a master's degree in art history, and I was talking to her about my art history studies, and she was saying that the city and the nation were conflicted over how much money should be invested in the renovation of the museum for decorative arts. So hopefully, you know, in a few years it'll be open again and it'll just be better than ever. So all of Ryggen's tapestries were sort of spread to the four winds, and a lot of them, well, three major ones were in Brekstad. Again, pronunciation not the greatest. So that is where I went to see these tapestries. Again, this is a chunk of the Ethiopia tapestry. These are, you know, sort of wall-sized tapestries. So let me kind of tell you just really quickly, and you should look her up, right? What makes Hannah Ryggen so important? So before her, women did emerge as well-known weavers, but they used very traditional approaches, traditional motifs, a lot of geometrical, you know, kind of like this sweater. So I'm going to talk about this in a minute because I knit it from yarn that I bought in Trondheim. But like me, you know, I like Icelandic sweaters, so I'll go and find patterns that have been around for a while, and I'm not being terribly inventive by making up my own. So Ryggen decided to use weaving as protest. And she, of course, so she was born towards the end of the 19th century and lived well past World War II. So she was in the thick of it during fascism, when Norway, for example, had lots of government interference from the Nazis, and it was just a really bad time. So she used weaving as protest. In fact, her husband was interned in a camp in Norway by the Nazis. So what they sort of did as artists did not go unpunished. And she was taking enormous risks, but she was also doing what she felt she had to protest a lot of the situations. This Ethiopia tapestry is kind of a protest. I believe Italy was the country that was involved in Ethiopia at the time, so she was protesting Mussolini. Some interesting artifacts, some, what do you call it, bobbins maybe, or, she would use bobbins for tapestry weaving. So she spun her own yarn, she dyed her own yarn, she was a very skilled dyer, and she used traditional methods. It's well known that she used urine as a, I'm trying to remember the word for mordant for some of her dyes, especially like indigo and this kind of thing. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that. I'll also have some books. I'll show you a few pictures, but I kind of wanted to give you just, you know, like a bird's eye view. These are the ones that I got to see when I was in Brekstad and in Trondheim. And it was just overwhelming, you know. What a fantastic artist. This is protesting imprisonment of the Jews and the persecution. This is from 1936, before, you know, things got really bad. I could probably provide you with a little more information. I'm going to look up a few things in the book. I don't want to bore you too long, but it's just such a wonderful topic. So here's Winston Churchill featured in one of these tapestries, and she was just a marvel. She kind of improvised as she went along. So this is tapestry weaving. It's not like using a jack loom or something like that. She could she would like sketch out the pictures, but a lot of it was sort of improvised as she went along, is what I understand. Here's a little protest against Hitler there. You can kind of see. So this was in Brekstad. Just give you a few hints. Here's another thing I saw in Brekstad. This incredible yarn store. And I was really disappointed because her credit card machine was new and it didn't work with my credit card, so I couldn't buy anything. But oh my God, I loved being in there. It was one of the best. To be honest, a yarn store that I have in my novels is modeled after this yarn store. Look at that. I mean, it's just jam-packed with all this wonderful Norwegian yarn, Estonian yarn, Danish yarn. Oh my God, it was just, I want to go back so bad. I would almost go back to Trondheim before I would check out places I haven't seen before. It was that good. I took the ferry and I really enjoyed that, even though I got off at the wrong stop one time. The people were very helpful and got me situated the right way. Here's an example of what I was talking about, the cafes. People would sit on these chairs with the sheep skin and stay warm outside, even though it was 35 degrees. It was great. So there were some other yarn stores that I went to. Here's a sock I was working on when I was there. You can see I'm enjoying my mocha and sitting working on a sock. It was a lot of fun. Had some great food, got some Norwegian books. Let's see what else. So here's some pictures from the historical museum, and I'm just going to show you a few samples. It was delightful. Even though it was March, it was most of it was open. They had like some traditional rooms set up kind of like this. It just gives you a little bit of a sample of what you can find there. The painting in that one, that must be like an upper middle class residence from back in the day. And here, I don't know if you can make it out. Look out, Paris, but you can see a basket of yarn. Could you see the basket of yarn in there? I like that. I had to, anything that had yarn or a spinning wheel, and look out, Paris. Look out, baby. Honey. Here's a close-up. I had to take a close-up of the basket of yarn. Made me want to just kind of go past that barrier and sit down. And, you know, I was intrigued because especially the Unique yarn store was my favorite to go to. And the person there was extremely nice. And I asked her, I was like, what's the situation with spinning here in Trondheim? She said, well, it's kind of a lost art. People don't do it anymore. And that made me sad. But they did have historical spinning wheels that proved that, yes, back in the day, it was very important. This, to me, looks like a flax wheel. But isn't that gorgeous? I have a whole novel which is about building spinning wheels. I researched that, and oh my God, it was so fascinating. I can't wait till I'm still looking for an agent, trying to get them published. Got to get them out there for you. I think you're going to enjoy them. Here's a Swift that they have on display. Not sure how old that is, you know, if it's a relic or if it's just supposed to be similar. But here's a loom. And, you know, this is what got me interested in weaving. So I love, you know, I took a weaving class last semester. And it was great. Outdoor picture from the museum. It's way up on this huge hill. I walked most places that I went in Trondheim because I just, you know, wanted to really get to know the place. So I really put my Truman boots to hard use. I've gone into that a fair amount. I'll probably address that again because they really serve me well. Oh, fascinating. Look at that architecture from probably, you know, late 19th century. Really fascinating. So let me see what else I can show you here. Oh yeah, modern textile museum. So they had some modern textiles on exhibit. Look at that. Isn't that fascinating? And they have yarn skeins that go with the dress. And here's another one. I don't know if you can make it out, but I'm just fascinated. As I write more and more about fiber art, so my fiber arts professor is one of the ones from Trondheim, right? I have to just explore this topic more and more, and it's going to come up more and more in my novels, and I'm just so excited to continue writing. This is also a modern weaving, and I just want to know more. I'm going to try tapestry weaving. Hadn't had time. I've been so busy taking classes, teaching classes, etc., etc. But I'm very excited to try weaving, and can't wait till I have a little more time, maybe this summer. And here's another yarn store that I went to, and I'd be hard-pressed to put the name to the store, which I apologize for. Oh, yes, now I can. So it's Untold. Here's the skein of yarn I bought there. In fact, this yarn store, I kind of just happened upon. Maybe that's why I struggle a little bit to remember it, because I was just walking back through town, and I was like, that's a yarn store. And of course, I had to go in there. So yeah, they do their own dyeing. And they sell a lot of these really bold colors. This is mohair, and I thought this would be really cool to combine with something mohair mixed with 28% silk. So Untold, maybe you've heard of them. In fact, they asked me to help advertise, so there you go. I'll put a link to their company at the bottom of the video. Got some food in here. You gotta go. You gotta go to Trondheim. It was just delightful. Here's the main building of the university. That gets mentioned in my novel too. In fact, I'm about to, in a few weeks, I'm going to write another chapter that takes place in Trondheim. So I'm so glad that I have all these pictures and memories that will help me to dredge up details to make it really, you know, compelling and a lot of sensory overload. I like to do sensory overload in my novels. Now, I'm trying to find, okay, so Hannah Ryggen's husband was an artist. Here is a painting of his. See if you can make it out. There we go. So that is in the Trondheim Art Museum. And the woman who was working there, boy, I'm really sorry I'm going on here. I hope y'all are enjoying this. But in any case, she's an art historian, and she did her master's thesis on Hans Ryggen. And she did her study on, when he was in the concentration camp, he painted all the people that were there, or a bunch of them. He painted portraits of the people who were interned with him. And she did a whole study about those, and it's absolutely fascinating. So actually, you know, a fairly important artist in his own right. And I found this is a small tapestry by Hannah Ryggen that's at the art museum. So they did have a few works of hers. As I said, they were, you know, kind of spread far and wide around Trondheim, just because the main Decorative Arts Museum was closed. So here's a more modern tapestry that I saw at another art museum. Very fun. I mean, if I could make something like that, man, that'd just be the cat's meow, but it must have taken forever. This one's extraordinary. I almost feel like I could design a sweater, like a yoke, based off of that. That was at the museum. I don't know who made it. I apologize. But I'm so glad I got to see it. Here is another example of something from the Textile Museum. This really cool dress. So they had some things that were more fashion-oriented. Oh my gosh, my daughter loved this when I sent her a picture of that. Isn't that really cool? That looks like something you would wear to a very fancy prom. And a little more rustic kind of tapestry. Fascinating. And there were others. Here's one. Can't remember the artist's name. I apologize. But you should definitely go there. Let me see. Now I'm looking it up. It's Kristina Dalkintite. I think it's she's Lithuanian. And her last name is spelled A-A-S. Unfortunately, I did not do a good job of taking a picture of her name. But and they even had the book that I'm about to show you here on display. This is a gallery, a contemporary art gallery, where you can find this temporary location of the Tree of Life. So this tapestry has really interesting history. I think it was in the Swedish embassy, if I'm not mistaken, and it was vandalized. And so they did their best to restore it, and now it's in a very safe location. It's like behind glass and stuff. It's sort of at this angle because it's in the basement of this gallery, and it's just a little bit tricky to sort of, you know, at that angle with the glass to really get in close and appreciate it. But I was able to get some pretty decent shots when I was there, give you an idea of the some of the details. And, you know, it was just kind of chilling, you know, it was just to see the work of this wonderful artist who did so much to advance fiber arts as on a par, you know, with painting and the more masculine arts. It just really blew my mind. And it was so worthwhile to make this trip. And, of course, it was also worthwhile to buy some yarn. So I'll just give you a quick tour here. This is basically all I bought. I only had so much room, but I did manage to buy a sweater's quantity of this. So this yarn is from the I think it's Hillesvåg mill, and the type of yarn, it's the Varde is the type, and it's made there right in Norway. So to be honest, I was trying to find my leftover skeins and I couldn't, but I knit this sweater out of that yarn. And I also got this silk mohair print. Let me see if I can, this is from Sandness. And the store I got it at is Jens Hof. So yeah, just kind of give you a little tour of that. I think it looks like Neapolitan ice cream. Bought that in Trondheim. Not sure what I'm going to use it with yet, but I'm probably going to make like a hat or a scarf. I'm going to combine it with maybe some brown sheep, some pink yarn, or maybe even like a rustic brown, or maybe I could, hand spin some yarn. We'll see. I got this gorgeous, this is from Dale. This is a sock yarn. Now this is made in Turkey, but it's a Norwegian brand. And I'm really looking forward to making socks out of those. It has my favorite 25% nylon, for better or worse. And this is a yarn that is specific to the Unique store in Trondheim. Arguably, so some people are like, oh, it's a little pricey and stuff, but I love the store. I wasn't too worried about, I'm spending all the money to go over there. I'm not going to quibble over, a few dollars here or there. So this is called BFL sock. And I don't know if you can read the color. I think it's supposed to be something about carnival, if you could tell. Let me know, because it's in cursive, and that's what I got out of it. But in any case, gorgeous red yarn. Can't wait to spin it up. And I got some Petulopi at that first store that I showed you, the Gone Who's It. And so yeah, Paris, yeah, you're a star. Here, this is a book that I recommend. Hannah Ryggen, Threads of Defiance. I did read this, and on the back they have a picture of the artist, and it's just inspiring. I really love knowing about female artists who use their voice to say something significant, and not just to sort of fit in the mold of the expectations that were sort of pushed on them. But this has a lot of illustrations. For example, you can see that's the very tapestry that I saw right there at an art gallery in Trondheim. Love as political force. I like that. I really like seeing female values expressed in the arts. It just means so much to me, because we still hear so much about the patriarchy, and it just, makes me want to gag. So I'm a single mother by choice. I raised all three of my kids by myself, and I'm proud of it. And my younger son got a minor in women's studies. And he's as heterosexual as they come. He's a cis heterosexual male, and he got a minor in women's studies. And his girlfriend is African American, and very proud of him. And we're just so proud to be the kind of family that fits in with the values of an artist like Hannah Ryggen. Here's the Ethiopia tapestry. Kind of, you get, just a little bit of an idea of how it's all laid out. And this book gives you a lot of insight into what it's actually protesting and how it squares with the times when she made it. There are a lot of pictures of Ryggen herself with her husband. That's just one example. So a wonderful book. This was translated from Norwegian, if I'm not mistaken, or at least it's sort of an English version of the Norwegian. And there are some pictures of, I didn't get to see all these tapestries, and I hope to go back again when Trondheim's Decorative Arts Museum is fully open, fully remodeled. And here is a book that I bought at the art gallery where the Tree of Life tapestry was available. Hannah Ryggen Triennale, and it compares her with some contemporary fiber artists and sort of mixed media artists that are sort of wielding their voice in a similar way. And I'm already finding that I'm giving the name of the one tapestry wrong, which, let me correct that right now. It's called We Are Living on a Star. So here's a picture of the entire tapestry. And yeah, so we'll correct that. I'll make sure that's correct in the information below the video. We Are Living in a Star, 1958. There's some other pictures in here too. This book I have not read yet. I look forward to doing so because I'm so fascinated with the artist. I just want to really know more about her life. So anyhow, I hope you enjoyed. Didn't know I was going to go on quite as long, but I hope you've enjoyed my little tour of Trondheim and the opportunity to buy all this wonderful yarn there. And naturally, Paris and mistletoe always have a good time entertaining you as well. So thank you for your patience. Let me know if you have any comments, if you have any experience with Ryggen or weaving, tapestry weaving, especially given how I want to learn how to do that on a smaller scale. I'm too old to try to make wall-sized tapestries, but I would like to make maybe something that's poster-sized. I think it'd be really cool. So, love to know your thoughts about Trondheim, Hannah Ryggen, and Norway. And thanks for listening, and we'll talk soon. Ciao.